Supervisor Kithnor adjusted his observation suit's environmental controls as he stepped onto the elevated platform overlooking Sector 7. Below him, the human settlement buzzed with its usual morning activity. Coffee shops opened their doors, children walked to school with backpacks bouncing, and adults hurried to their jobs at the local hardware store, diner, and small offices that line Main Street. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Status report, Observer Unit 12. Kithnor spoke into his communication device, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction. All behavioral patterns within normal parameters, Supervisor, came the reply from his assistant, Yiltran. The humans are displaying typical small-town social dynamics. No signs of awareness regarding their actual circumstances. Kethnor's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of contentment among his species. 3 years of careful planning, 2 years of construction, and 18 months of gradual human relocation had resulted in this masterpiece of xenobiological study. The Galactic Council had approved the project with enthusiasm. After all, humans are the most fascinating species they'd encountered in centuries. Too fascinating for their own good. Really, the irony wasn't lost on him. These creatures, with their remarkable adaptability and stubborn refusal to accept defeat, had somehow convinced themselves they were living in genuine small-town America, circa early 21st century Earth. They had no idea their sky was actually a sophisticated holographic dome. Their sun was a carefully calibrated artificial light source, and their town sat inside a massive biodome on the planet Vorthak Prime. Sir, we have an interesting development in Residential Block C. Yiltran's voice crackled through the communicator Kithnor's side, his breathing apparatus hissing slightly. Define interesting, observer. Last time you used that word, human subject designation Jake Miller decided to dig a swimming pool in his backyard and nearly breached the foundation sensors. Well, sir, human subject Marcus Kane appears to be questioning things. That got Kethnor's attention. Marcus Kane, 34 years old, former military background, had been one of their more carefully selected specimens. His psychological profile indicated high intelligence, but also a tendency toward acceptance of authority and routine. Perfect Zoom material. Or so they thought that Kithnor activated his personal monitoring screen and zoomed in on Kane's location. The human stood in his kitchen, holding a cup of coffee, staring out his window with an expression that made the supervisor's stomach plates shift nervously. What exactly is he questioning, observer? He's been asking his neighbor, Linda Foster, about the weather patterns. Specifically, why it rains every Tuesday at exactly 2 p.m. He's also noticed that the grocery store never seems to run out of his favorite brand of cereal, despite the fact that only 3 people in town buy it. Kethnor's primary eyes narrowed. Weather patterns were automated for agricultural optimization. The grocery store restocked through subsurface delivery systems during the human sleep cycles. These were not things a properly conditioned subject should notice. Has he shared these observations with other subjects? Not yet, sir. But his body language suggests increasing agitation. We may need to implement Protocol 7. Protocol 7. Memory adjustment. Kithnor hated using it. The process was crude, often leaving subjects disoriented for weeks. It also tended to dull their natural creativity and problem-solving abilities, which rather defeated the purpose of studying them in the first place. Negative on Protocol 7 for now, Kithnor decided. Let's see how this develops. Increase monitoring on Kane and his immediate social circle. An observer. Yes, sir. Remind the environmental control team that weather patterns need more randomization. Tuesday rain schedules are apparently too obvious for our subjects. Meanwhile, 3 levels below in the human habitat, Marcus Kane set down his coffee cup with a soft clink and rubbed his temples. Something was wrong. Had been wrong for months now, but he couldn't quite put his finger on what. The town of Cedar Falls was perfect. Too perfect. His neighbor, Tommy Rodriguez, mowed his lawn every Saturday at exactly 9 a.m. The mailman, Pete Jackson, always whistled the same tune while delivering letters. The local diner served the same daily specials in the same order every week. Even the stray cats followed predictable patterns, appearing in the same locations at the same times. IT felt like living inside a really well-designed theme park. Marcus walked to his front door and stepped outside, breathing in air that always smelled faintly of pine trees and fresh rain, regardless of actual weather conditions. He'd noticed that too. The air quality never changed. No pollution, no seasonal allergies, no variation in humidity levels. "Morning, Marcus," called Linda Foster from her garden. She was planting the same type of flowers she'd planted last month, in the same arrangement, using the same gardening tools. "Hey, Linda, beautiful day, isn't it?" Marcus replied, studying her face carefully. "Oh, you know what they say about Cedar Falls weather?" Linda laughed, her response cheerful and automatic. "Always perfect for whatever you need to do." That phrase. Marcus had heard variations of it from at least 12 different people over the past month. Always delivered with the same bright smile, the same slightly vacant look in their eyes. "Linda, can I ask you something?" "Of course, dear. Do you ever think about leaving Cedar Falls? Maybe visiting family somewhere else?" Linda's smile flickered for just a moment, like a television with poor reception. "Oh, Marcus, why would anyone want to leave? We have everything we need right here. Besides, I don't really remember having family anywhere else." Don't remember. That was another pattern Marcus had noticed. Nobody in Cedar Falls seemed to have clear memories of life before arriving in town. Everyone had vague recollections of somewhere else, but the details were always fuzzy, inconsistent. Marcus had tried to piece together his own past. He remembered military service, deployment overseas, but the specifics felt like trying to grab smoke. Had he been in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria? The memories shifted and blurred whenever he tried to focus on them. "I think I will take a walk around town today," Marcus announced. "Maybe explore some of those hiking trails outside the residential area." Linda's expression went completely blank for several seconds. When animation returned to her face, her smile was different. Forced. "Oh, Marcus, you know those trails are dangerous. Wild animals and unstable terrain. Much better to stay in town where it's safe. Maybe visit the library instead." Mrs. Patterson just got in some wonderful new books. New books that were probably just reshuffled versions of the same titles that had been there for months. Marcus had noticed that too. "Thanks for the suggestion, Linda. I will think about it." He walked away, leaving Linda staring after him with an expression he'd never seen on her face before. Something between confusion and concern, as if she was trying to remember something important but couldn't quite grasp it. 3 blocks away, Marcus found himself standing in front of Cedar Falls Elementary School. Children played in the yard during recess, their laughter echoing off the building walls. Normal kid stuff, tag, hopscotch, arguments over playground equipment. But as Marcus watched more carefully, he began to notice the same patterns that plagued the adult population. The games followed exact sequences. The arguments were resolved in identical ways. Even the children's laughter had a rehearsed quality to it. "Mr. Kane," a small voice called out. Marcus turned to see 8-year-old Amy running toward the fence. She was one of the few kids in town who seemed to retain genuine spontaneity in her behavior. "Hi, Amy. How's school today?" "Boring," Amy replied with characteristic bluntness. "We're learning about geography again, but Mrs. Williams keeps showing us the same maps. And the maps are weird, Mr. Kane. They don't look right." Marcus knelt down to Amy's eye level. "What do you mean weird?" "Well, she says we live in Kansas, but the mountains outside town don't match the Kansas pictures in our textbooks." And when I asked her about it, she got that funny look adults get sometimes. Like when you ask them where babies come from, but worse, out of the mouths of babes. Children, Marcus realized, were naturally more observant than adults. They hadn't yet learned to accept inconsistencies as normal parts of life. "Amy, have you noticed anything else that seems off?" The little girl glanced around nervously, then leaned closer to the fence. "Promise you won't tell my mom?" "I promise. I tried to call my grandmother last week. You know, the one who lives in San Francisco. But the phone just made weird beeping sounds. And when I asked Mom about it, she said Grandma moved away and we don't have her new number. But that doesn't make sense because Grandma would never move without telling us." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "What else, Amy?" "The TV channels. We only get about 20 channels, and they show the same programs over and over. No news about other places. No weather reports for anywhere except Cedar Falls. It's like the rest of the world doesn't exist. Before Marcus could respond, a bell rang and Amy had to return to class. But her words echoed in his mind as he continued his walk through town. The rest of the world doesn't exist. What if it didn't? At least, not in the way they remembered it. Marcus found himself at the edge of town, where Main Street ended and a hiking trail began. A small sign read, "Danger, unstable terrain, authorized personnel only." The same sign he'd seen at every trail entrance, an identical font and placement that he looked back at Cedar Falls. From this distance, the town looked even more artificial. Too clean, too organized, too perfectly maintained, like a movie set or a zoo exhibit. The thought hit him like a physical blow. A zoo. That's exactly what this felt like. A carefully maintained environment designed to keep its inhabitants comfortable, fed, and contained. But contained by whom and why? Marcus was so lost in thought that he almost missed the glint of metal in the bushes beside the trail, something that definitely didn't belong in a natural forest setting. He pushed through the undergrowth and found what looked like a maintenance panel built into the hillside, almost completely camouflaged but not quite well enough. The panel had symbols on it. Not English letters or numbers, but something else entirely. Geometric patterns that hurt his eyes to look at directly, arranged in ways that suggested meaning but remained incomprehensible. With trembling fingers, Marcus traced the outline of the panel. It was warm to the touch and seemed to vibrate slightly, as if machinery hummed behind it. Fascinating, isn't it? Marcus spun around to find a man standing behind him. Tall, thin, wearing clothes that looked normal at first glance, but somehow felt wrong upon closer inspection. The fabric had an odd sheen, and the cut was just slightly off from contemporary American fashion. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" Marcus asked, his military training kicking in. The stranger's posture was too perfect, his movements too controlled. "My name is Dr. Richard Hawthorne." The man replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I'm a researcher, and you, Marcus Kane, are asking very dangerous questions." Dangerous to whom? To everyone in Cedar Falls, including yourself. Dr. Hawthorne stepped closer, and Marcus noticed that the man's eyes reflected light in a way human eyes shouldn't. "Tell me, Marcus, what do you think you have discovered?" Marcus considered lying, but something about the situation demanded honesty. "I think we're being kept here, studied, like animals in a zoo." Dr. Hawthorne's smile widened, revealing teeth that were too white and too sharp. "Very good. You are more perceptive than our psychological profiles indicated. That's both impressive and problematic." "Our psychological profiles? Who is our?" "The people who designed this place. The people who brought you here. The people who have been watching your every move for the past 18 months. Dr. Hawthorne gestured toward the hidden panel. "We have learned so much from you humans. Your adaptability, your social structures, your problem-solving capabilities. Truly remarkable." Marcus backed away slowly. "You are not human." "Correct. Though I must say, this form is quite comfortable. Much better than my natural appearance, which tends to cause screaming and fainting among your species." "What do you want from us?" "Want? Oh, Marcus, you misunderstand. We don't want anything from you. We want to preserve you. Humanity is a dying species, you see. Your homeworld is, well, let's just say it's no longer habitable. We rescued as many of you as we could and created these preserves across the galaxy. Think of us as conservationists." The words hit Marcus like hammer blows. Earth destroyed. Humanity scattered. Preserves. Zoos. You are lying. I wish I were. But consider the evidence you have already gathered. The perfect weather. The endless supplies. The isolation from the outside world. We have tried very hard to make this experience pleasant for you. Marcus's mind raced. If this creature was telling the truth, then escape wasn't just about getting out of Cedar Falls. It was about finding other human survivors, other preserves, maybe even finding a way to reclaim their species' destiny. How many of us are left, scattered across 47 different facilities like this one? Perhaps 3 million humans total. Not many, considering your original population numbered in the billions. 3 million. Out of billions. And the others in town? Do they know? Most are conditioned to accept their circumstances without question. Much easier to manage that way. But occasionally, someone like you develops awareness. Usually, we perform memory adjustment procedures to correct the problem. Brain surgery, you mean? Lobotomy. Such crude terms. We prefer to think of it as psychological maintenance. Marcus felt rage building in his chest. These things had destroyed his world, kidnapped his species, and turned them into zoo animals. And they acted like they were doing humanity a favor. What if I refuse your maintenance? Dr. Hawthorne's expression grew serious. Then you force us to make difficult choices. We could relocate you to a less comfortable facility. We could terminate your existence entirely. Or, he paused dramatically, we could offer you a different kind of life. What kind of life? Join us. Help us manage the other preserves. Become a liaison between our species and yours. You'd have access to the truth, freedom to travel between facilities, and the opportunity to help shape humanity's future. Collaboration. Marcus had seen it before during his military service. Conquered peoples who chose to work with their occupiers in exchange for better treatment. It never ended well for either side. I need time to think. Of course, but not too much time. Our supervisors are already concerned about your behavioral anomalies. If you're going to make a decision, make it soon. Dr. Hawthorne turned and walked away, disappearing into the forest with unnatural silence. Marcus was left alone with a hidden panel, his shattered worldview, and a choice that would determine not just his own fate, but potentially the future of human resistance. He looked back towards Cedar Falls, seeing it now for what it truly was. A beautiful prison, a comfortable cage, a place where his species was slowly dying while their captors took notes. But he also saw something else. Potential allies. Amy Chun, with her sharp questions and natural skepticism. Maybe others who had noticed the inconsistencies but hadn't yet found the courage to voice their concerns. If Dr. Hawthorne's people thought they could turn humanity into a collection of zoo specimens, they were about to learn why humans had survived as long as they had. They were about to discover that some animals refused to stay caged. Marcus Kane didn't sleep that night. He sat at his kitchen table, drinking coffee that had gone cold hours ago, staring at a notepad filled with everything he could remember about his conversation with Dr. Hawthorne. The alien's words echoed in his mind. 3 million humans left, scattered across 47 facilities, 47 prisons disguised as sanctuaries that be wide dawn. Marcus had made his decision. He wasn't going to submit to memory adjustment, and he sure as hell wasn't going to collaborate with humanity's captors. That left resistance, which meant finding others who could handle the truth without breaking. His first stop was the elementary school. Amy, Marcus called softly through the playground fence during morning recess. Come here for a second. The 8-year-old approached with her usual directness. You look terrible, Mr. Kane. Did something happen? Yeah, something happened. Remember what you said about things being weird around here? Well, you were right. And I need your help. Amy's eyes widened. Are we in trouble? Big trouble. But the kind we're fighting back might actually work. Marcus glanced around to make sure no teachers were watching. Can you keep a secret? A real important one. I'm good at secrets. This town isn't real, Amy. We're being kept here by things that aren't human. They look human sometimes, but they are not. They destroyed our real home and put us in places like this. Most children would have laughed or run away. Amy studied his face with the intensity of someone much older. That explains the weird maps, and why the grown-ups act so strange when you ask questions. Exactly. I need you to do something for me. Watch the other kids. Find ones who ask questions, who notice things that don't make sense. But be careful about it. Don't let the teachers know what you're doing. What about my mom and dad? Marcus felt a stab of pain. Amy's parents were probably too conditioned to accept the truth. Most of the adults were. We will figure that out later. Right now, I need you to be my eyes and ears with the kids. Can you do that? Amy nodded solemnly. I can do that. Marcus's next stop was less promising. He tried approaching several adults throughout the day, testing their reactions to subtle questions about inconsistencies in town life. The responses were universally the same. Blank stares, forced smiles, and immediate subject changes. All except one. Janet Kowalski worked at the town library, a quiet woman in her 50s who'd always seemed more alert than most residents. When Marcus mentioned the strange weather patterns, she didn't give him the usual cheerful dismissal. Instead, she looked around nervously and whispered, "Meet me in the reference section after closing time. Use the back entrance." That evening, Marcus found Janet waiting between the dusty stacks of encyclopedias that nobody ever checked out. She looked terrified but determined. "I've been wondering if I was losing my mind," she said quietly. "Things haven't felt right for months. The books never get damaged or worn out. The periodicals arrive on schedule, but contain no real news. And the computer system—" She shook her head. "The internet only connects to local sites. Everything else returns error messages. You are not losing your mind, Janet. But what I'm about to tell you is going to sound insane." Marcus explained everything Dr. Hawthorne had revealed. Janet listened without interruption, her face growing paler with each detail. 3 million, she repeated when he finished. "Out of billions." That's what he said. "But here's the thing. If they're keeping us in 47 different facilities, that means there are other groups of humans out there. Other people who might not have accepted this setup so quietly." Janet was quiet for a long moment. "You're talking about resistance, about fighting back against beings advanced enough to destroy Earth and build all this." She gestured at the library around them. "I'm talking about being human. Real humans don't just accept captivity because it's comfortable. What do you need from me? Information. You have access to more of the town's systems than anyone else. Library computers, checkout records, circulation data. Look for patterns. Find people who check out books about history, military tactics, engineering. People who might be researching their way toward the truth." Over the next 3 days, Marcus and Janet quietly built a network. Amy identified 6 children who showed signs of independent thinking. Janet found 4 adults whose reading habits suggested restlessness with their circumstances. That on Thursday evening, they held their first meeting in the library basement. 11 people total, including a mechanic named Frank Delgado who'd been wondering why he never saw supply trucks servicing the gas station, and a nurse named Patricia Nguyen who'd noticed that nobody in town ever got seriously sick or injured. "So let me get this straight," Frank said, leaning back in his folding chair. "We are lab rats in a fancy maze, our planet is dead, and you want us to fight aliens who can build artificial suns." "That's about the size of it," Marcus replied. "Count me in." Patricia raised her hand. "I have a question. If these beings can perform memory adjustment procedures, why haven't they just erased all our doubts already?" Marcus had been wondering the same thing. Maybe they're studying resistance patterns. Or maybe they want some of us to wake up to see what we will do about it. Or maybe, suggested Janet, they're not as all-powerful as they want us to believe. That possibility had occurred to Marcus too. Dr. Hawthorne's offer of collaboration suggested the aliens needed human cooperation for something. If they could simply reprogram everyone's minds at will, why bother with recruitment? Either way, Marcus said, we need to find out more about this place, how it works, what its weaknesses are, and whether we can contact other facilities. Amy, who'd been unusually quiet during the adult conversation, suddenly spoke up. "Mr. Kane, what if some of the grown-ups aren't really people?" Everyone turned to look at her. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" Patricia asked. "Well, Dr. Hawthorne wasn't really human, right? But he looked human. What if some of the other people in town are fake too? Like the ones who always say the same things and smile too much?" Smart kid. Marcus felt a chill as he considered the possibility. How many of Cedar Falls residents were actually human? How many were alien observers or artificial constructs designed to maintain the illusion? That's a good point, Amy. We need to be very careful about who we trust. The meeting broke up with assignments for everyone. Frank would investigate the town's infrastructure, looking for signs of artificial systems. Patricia would document medical anomalies and inconsistencies. Janet would continue monitoring information systems. The children would observe adults and report unusual behaviors. Marcus took the most dangerous job for himself, testing the boundaries of their containment, and on Friday night, he returned to the hidden maintenance panel he discovered. This time, He brought tools borrowed from Frank's garage. The panel's locking mechanism was complex, but not impossible to understand. After 2 hours of careful work, Marcus managed to pry it open. Inside was a maze of technology unlike anything from Earth. Conduits carrying energy in colors that had no names. Control surfaces that responded to touch with patterns of light. And at the center, a communication device that looked almost functional. Almost. Marcus spent hours studying the alien technology, trying to understand its logic. His military background had included some electronics training, but this was like trying to repair a computer with Stone Age tools. Still, patterns began to emerge. Energy flows, signal pathways, control hierarchies. He was so absorbed in his work that he almost missed the soft footsteps approaching through the forest. Impressive, came Dr. Hawthorne's voice from behind him. Most humans wouldn't have gotten past the outer casing. Marcus didn't turn around. Most humans haven't had their world destroyed and their species caged. Your world destroyed itself. Marcus, we simply tried to save what we could from the aftermath. Bullshit. Marcus finally faced the alien. You conquered us. Own it. Dr. Hawthorne's human disguise flickered for a moment, revealing something with too many joints and eyes like black mirrors. Conquered? Is that what you think happened? Enlighten me. Your species was dying, Marcus. Pollution, warfare, resource depletion. You have perhaps 50 years left before complete ecological collapse. We offered salvation by kidnapping people and putting them in zoos, by preserving your culture, your knowledge, your genetic diversity. The alternative was extinction. Marcus felt his anger building. That wasn't your choice to make, wasn't it? When a species is too immature to save itself, sometimes intervention is necessary. Dr. Hawthorne's form solidified back into human appearance. But you are proving my point about human resilience. Against all odds, facing impossible circumstances, you still choose to fight. Damn right we do. Which is why I'm here to make you another offer. Not collaboration this time. Partnership. Marcus laughed bitterly. What's the difference? Collaboration means working within our system. Partnership means helping us change it. Dr. Hawthorne stepped closer to the open maintenance panel. What you are looking at is a communication array. It connects to similar installations at other preservation sites. With the right modifications, it could allow contact between facilities. And you're telling me this why? Because some of my people believe humanity should remain in comfortable captivity forever. Others think you should be gradually integrated into galactic society as junior partners. A few of us believe you should be given the chance to prove yourselves as equals. Marcus studied the alien's human mask. Which group do you belong to? I belong to the group that thinks humanity's survival instincts and adaptability make them potentially valuable allies. But to prove that, you need to demonstrate capabilities beyond simple resistance, such as organize your people, not just in Cedar Falls, but across multiple facilities. Show us you can cooperate on an interstellar scale. Prove that humanity can handle the truth about galactic politics and advanced technology without destroying itself. Dr. Hawthorne touched the communication array. This device can reach 17 other preservation sites. The humans in those facilities are at various stages of awareness about their circumstances. Some have organized resistance movements. Others remain completely conditioned. A few facilities have fallen into chaos. Marcus felt his pulse quicken. 17 other sites. Thousands of other humans who might be ready to fight for their freedom. What's the catch? The catch is that my superiors are watching this experiment. If humanity proves capable of organization and cooperation on this scale, you will be offered genuine partnership in galactic affairs. If you prove unable to handle the responsibility, or if you use the technology for destructive purposes, all preservation sites will be permanently sealed. Permanently sealed meaning what? Meaning humanity's story ends with the current generation. Marcus stared at the alien technology, weighing the risks. It could be a trap, a way to identify and eliminate resistance leaders across multiple sites. Or it could be humanity's only chance at a real future. How do I know you are telling the truth? You don't, but consider the alternative. You can continue playing guerrilla fighter in a single small town, or you can help coordinate a species-wide effort to reclaim your destiny. Dr. Hawthorne began walking away, then paused. Oh, and Marcus? Your little resistance group in Cedar Falls is more impressive than you realize. 11 active members, with potential for expansion to 30 or 40. But there are observers among the population who report to my supervisors. Some of the people you trust may not be what they seem. The alien disappeared into the forest, leaving Marcus alone with technology that could either save humanity or doom it forever. 3 hours later, Marcus returned to town with his mind made up. He found Amy playing hopscotch in her backyard under the artificial stars. Amy, I need to ask you something important. That list of kids you made, the ones who ask good questions. Yeah, how many of them would be brave enough to help their parents and other grown-ups wake up? Amy considered this seriously. Most of them, I think. Kids are braver than adults sometimes. Good, because we're about to find out if humans really are as special as everyone keeps saying we are. Marcus looked up at the holographic sky, knowing that somewhere beyond its artificial beauty, other humans in other facilities were asking the same questions, making the same hard choices, facing the same impossible odds. The aliens thought they were studying humanity in controlled conditions. They were about to learn that humans were never really tame to begin with, and were a species that had survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and their own worst impulses decided to coordinate across the stars. Even their captors might be surprised by what they could accomplish. The human zoo was about to become something else entirely, a launching pad.